So you guys were I'm hearing all you guys just wanted the theme song shortened, so here we go. This girl reviews movies, games, and books. Sometimes she plays them. So does that, and when she does it with the cat, does that make her crazy? Does that make her crazy? Probably. So, it's shorter. There you go. CrazyCatLady or Martha Butler does not own any trailers or pictures. I use them under fair educational for and entertainment purpose. It's like it's all they did. Well, those years ago. See? No, I don't want to do any more of it. So, hi everyone, Martha here. I just got done reading Castle in the Air, which is a prequel to and before the Howl's Moving Castle, which was made into a movie. When I first read this book not too long ago, I just finished reading it. I thought it was the only book that was based off that movie, and Ghibli made it into made minor characters out of a movie. But then I looked up right after I got done reading it. I was about to make this review both this and the movie at the same exact time that I found out, oh, there's actually a book called that. So, yep, this is its own book. It has no movie based off of it, even though there is another movie called Castle in the Sky, which I think it's a completely different story, and it's also Studio Ghibli, but it's not the right one. And on the cover it says Companion to Howl's Moving Castle. So let's get started with what happens when this book. Now, before I found out that it was that Howl's Moving Castle didn't have a book based off of it, this book mostly reminded me of something like Aladdin, because it's about, has genies in it, a guy who wants to save a princess from an evil genie. So it reminds me a lot of Aladdin. That's what it reminded me of, more than this Howl's Moving Castle. So Howl is not really in it that much. He's not until like the very end. Like there's a wizard in the book a lot, and he doesn't get named until around the very end. I think he's the wizard that gives. I'm pretty sure he's the wizard that gives the main character in this book, which is Abdullah. And yep, he's basically, I know that I'm gonna keep on going back to the whole Aladdin thing. Like I said, it does remind a lot of it. He's basically, this book's Aladdin, and the princess that he keeps on going to see until the genie shows up. So the evil genie, who's basically this version's Jafar, goes around to like a bunch of castles and kidnaps all the princesses in the area and forces them to be his wife. And then we have somewhat of a good genie, he's no Robin Williams, that's for sure. He's more like the Aladdin from 1991. It's not the very first version of the Aladdin story. There was a bunch of them before then. It's just the most famous one. There was one maybe back in the 50s that was live action. My dad showed me it, and the genie in that movie acts like this movie, acts like more this genie. It acts like how most genies would act, that if you have to be careful what you wish for because it backfires on you. And that's basically what happens. That's how he treats it. But it's different from this book. You only get one wish per day, and if you ask for another one, you can't have another wish the next day, basically. So there's not 3 wishes like in Aladdin. I think in that movie, in the other one I just mentioned, I'm pretty sure there's only 3 wishes too. But yep, they just made it where Bazula can do 1 wish per day. But he doesn't show up, and like I said, he doesn't show up until after the princesses start getting captured, and it's up to Abdullah to go and save them. Because at first he gets accused by the Sultan for getting kidnapped. Because the very first scene we see in this book is him getting offered by Howl, a wizard, a magic carpet, which he goes and has fun with, until he meets the princess. And every single night he goes and sees the princess. The princess says, I have to marry somebody randomly. I don't want to, but I have to. And she's never seen any other man besides the ones that she's supposed to marry or her dad. So her seeing Badula, who was the very first guy who she's seen, and she's supposed to marry, and she's just intrigued by him. But she first thinks that he's a prince, but by the end of the book, she does admit to Adula that I knew. Basically, but after the first night, that you're not a prince. I was just trying to be nice, and so a couple nights after them like romancing with each other, she gets captured by the evil Jinn, and then he gets accused and gets thrown into the cell, just like Aladdin. And eventually, the genie releases him after he wishes himself out of there, but he ends up bumping to a character who's not in. That's basically, it's a soldier, but we find out later on in the book it's another prince. But the Jinn that took away the princes made him think that he's a soldier to confuse him, so he can get away with taking away his princess. And he ends up adopting two cats who we find out one is actually a human, and that makes her son a human, and that is Midnight and Whippersnapper. And both of them are pretty cute. We don't only get Midnight is black. We don't only get like a color description what Whippersnapper is, but mostly they give like Abdullah a hard time because he was raised not to like cats, but he eventually gets to liking them. They do help. That's mostly they're a little cute in the book, and so, but we find that both of them are humans. It's pretty weird. So their job is to go and save the princesses, and by the time they get back to for like a little while they're like wandering around in the desert together looking around, and they eventually find another Jinn who's brother of the Jinn that's kidnapping the princesses, and he helps lead them up to the castle and the air and where all the princesses are. And now it's time for both these guys to save the princesses from the Jinn. Mostly they do set them free, but they end up saving them, and they end up bringing them home. And they both get to have their own each princess. And by around this time, the wizard up there, who's Hal, ends up serving like, I know there's like a couple there's like two characters up there who like end up being like his cooks, which a guy has, one of them has a dog, which Adula ends up turning into a dog for a little bit in order to get the princesses out. But one of them is Hal, and also one of the princesses in the air is also Sophie, the other character from Hal's Moving Castle. But like I said, they're just mostly as cameos. So what did I think about? And mostly the book ends with like I said, with both the soldier, Hal, and Adula all gain a princess, and the book ends. So what did I think about this book? It's fine. What it is, it's just mostly just a romantic novel with a bunch of adventure stuff into it. I would probably just give this one probably a 7.5. There was times where I was stalling out to finish reading it because I thought I was gonna have to, after I started reading, watch a movie again, which I didn't mind watching that movie because it was good. But as once I found out that that book would be his own book, I didn't have to, so I didn't include it with watching this otherwise, because if I didn't know about that movie Gain book, I would have called this one only name only. But since it's not adapted after this one, it's pretty good. So yeah, I'll read that book again eventually when I am trying to find out what. And I'm waiting for a new book to come out, whatever that will be. But right now, since I just finished this book, I'm gonna promise. I already got my audiobook. I'm gonna do Sunset a Reaping, which is the next Hunger Games, which is technically a prequel to the Hunger Games because it's about Haymitch, and that's what I'm gonna read next. And let me see, there's also, I have to read Camp, Jupiter Classifieds, Greek Heroes, the Percy, this is one of the Percy Jackson stuff, Daughters of the Deep, the Homer's Odyssey, and a Kingdom Hearts comic, which has to do with Drew Drop Distance. So that's it for right now, guys. I'll see you guys later, and have a great time reading whatever book you're reading. Bye-bye.